Thank you so much. So, yes, this afternoon we'll be discussing one of Cambodia's most exciting new initiatives, Bakong digital payment application, which I've now been told has over 250,000 users with almost $3 billion worth of payments.
Right.
I guess there's been a lot of discussion in local and international media, sometimes a little bit of confusion of what Bakong actually is. Do you mind this afternoon just giving us a bit of an overview of what it is, what it does, and what it isn't?
Okay. Thank you, Harrison. Thank you for the question. So before I start, I just want to say good afternoon to everyone. Everyone being here and on the live as well. So to answer your question, so there's a lot of discussion lately in relation between Bakongs and what you call the central bank digital currency, or in short term we call it CBDC. And the concept of CBDC itself, it's very new. It's been around like 3 or 4 years, and it basically represent it refers to the digital representation of the banknote issued by the central bank. And if you look at the definition of the CBDC itself, it basically varies from one writer to another. There's no common definition of the CBDC as yet. So, but in short, it refers to the what we call the something that is issued by the central bank, and it's the liability of the central bank. But if you look at the Bakong itself, we start our first project back in 2016.
Okay, yeah, so it's quite a while.
Yeah, during that time, the original intention is not anything about digital currency. Our intention during that time was that we try to explore the new technologies, and then what this new technology can do and help us improve the payment system in our country. And as you may see, is that Bakong is actually a payment system. It's not really about central bank digital currency.
So it's not a digital currency.
It's not
a cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Despite that, there are some characteristics of Bakong that may fall into the definition of this central bank digital currency. That's why you tend to hear in the news that sometimes they refer Bakong to as a indirect CBDCs or hybrid CBDCs, or even recently the IMS called us as a synthetic CBDC. So there's a mixed definition of that. It depends on the writers, but to us, still Bakong is the payment system.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it as well. So I guess what the reasons, what was some of the major driving factors behind, in saying 2016 it was sort of, the concept was there, 2020 it was launched. What were the driving factors behind the reason?
We tried to introduce Bakong to address some of the issues that we have in our system. So basically, there are 4 reasons behind the development of the Bakong system. The reason number 1 is that to improve interoperability in our system. If you look at what do we mean by interoperability? Basically, interoperability is something that we try to promote interconnectivity between across all players and customer within our market. We have like commercial bank, we have specialized bank, we have microfinance and deposit taking institution. Before Bakong, this institution didn't talk to each other. To put it in a simple word, the institution didn't talk to each other. And the main reason that we want to promote Bakong is to try all these players talk to each other, so that this institution as well as the end user can enjoy the benefit, in particular to improve the payment efficiency in our payment ecosystem with regard to saving costs, with regard to fast speed of payment transfer, and as well as the securities of the system as well. So that is the first reasons. Second reason is about efficiency. I mentioned earlier the 3 factors is about cost, speeds, and safety. These first and second reasons are more or less connected to one and another.
Okay.
And the third reason is about financial inclusion. In what do we mean by financial inclusion? In our perspective, financial inclusion is something that we can promote access of the unbanked population, to promote usage of the unbanked, both unbanked and all the banked population, and to promote the quality of the product and service of the financial institution of the all party involved who offer the digital financial service. That's the third reason, and the last one is about promoting the use of local currency. If you look at the number of the wallet provided in our country, not many offer in local currencies, mostly offer in US dollars. So Bakong offer both in USD and local currency that give a chance to those who wish to conduct an action in local currency. Basically, the people in Euro area, because they are the one who do operations a lot in local currency. So that give them a chance to access to digital means to conduct an action in local currency.
Yeah, I must admit, I've actually downloaded it when I got a Cambodia Securities Exchange account. And I had to transfer from my ABA to the broker's Canadian bank. I found the process very simple, very straightforward, small percentage fee, but overall I thought it was very good, very well set up. So definitely connection of banks sounds like was one of the key factors that it's definitely ticking. One of also the reasons in Cambodia, obviously there are so many banks, yet people are still unbanked. How is the Bakong digital payment application going to assist that cohort?
Yeah, Bakong itself is the application that provide in many languages, and it's very convenient to use it. If the person doesn't know about English at all, they can use it because it provides in local currency in Khmer languages. So people just go through the App Store and App Store, and you can download it and register it, and then you can use it right away. It depends on the KYC requirement of each member institution, on the condition of the registrant. So it's very easy to use, and then but anyway, it still depends on the degrees and knowledge of the people, you know. So it basically involves the digital literacy of the public in terms of promoting the usage and adoption of the digital means. That is something that we, as a central bank, who's been working, focusing a lot these days with our partner as well to promote digital literacies. That's why we are now running a number of programs to promote digital literacy to boost understanding and knowledge of the population as a whole in terms of digital literacy, and so that we can adopt this digital means very quickly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I also, you know, a lot of people have been speaking about the remittance. So the options for, you know, overseas workers in Thailand or Malaysia, for example, they spend a lot of money sending their fees back to Cambodia. Sometimes they don't know where those fees are going. It also seems like it's going to really help people who are working overseas as well.
That's correct, right? Now is working with our partners, which is Maybank Malaysia and then Maybank Cambodia as well. So we just complete the project with our partners so that we open up the corridor for remittance between Cambodia and Malaysia. So our migrant worker in Malaysia can actually use the Bakong application in Malaysia to do the action as what they do in our country. That's very easy for them. That should promote this access to remittance from our migrant worker in other country. We want to replicate this same project, not only just in Malaysia, but we want to expand it to other countries in the region as well, so that it can have our Cambodian worker who currently doing in other country and perform the action within like they are in our country using Bakong application.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, with such an amazing product, there's also many other products in Cambodia that have been filling that space previously. Some of them are members of CAFT as well, which is also one of the people behind this this event. Okay. What do you want to talk to them about? Some of them might be feeling that Bakong could be taking some of their market share, or maybe in 5 years they might find themselves completely redundant. I know already some are starting to diversify. What sort of surety would you give to those companies to continue to do what they're doing, and also try and come within the overarching idea, which is bringing people together?
It depends on what they are looking at. To us, to our understanding, Bakong is a complementary product to the existing product that already available in our market. If you look at the Bakong closely, Bakong is what Bakong trying to do is try to enable, like I mentioned earlier, to enable interoperability across different players and users. We just connect different player in our market. We don't really intend to compete with any private platform. By joining with the Bakong, the player like PSI or bank, they can access to a larger network of customer and access to funding as well from commercial bank, where they can space, for example, if they need to upload their balance, for example, that open up the opportunities. So Bakong open up a lot of opportunity for this player in our market. So if you look at the big picture, to our understanding, Bakong would provide more opportunity to the already existing player to improve their performance and to boost their operation. That can straight to all the players.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's good to be reassuring, especially of the companies now, that they don't pull out too early, because that sort of, what they're offering is still very much needed. But yeah, I mean, without doubt, with the way things are going, I mean, there could be some consolidation in the future as well. There are so many of them. I think maybe some consolidation in Cambodia's financial institutions might not be such a bad thing. Do you think Bakong could actually start to force that as well, and start to force more of the PSIs, for example, and actually maybe there will be some reduction in the amount of companies in the market?
Not that to our understanding at the moment. I mean, we still observe the trend. Obviously, whether Bakong will compete with the existing player or not, it depends on the business model of this player. Bakong may have I mean, it depends on the player. Is their product or service is more or less closely in line with the Bakong, they might find it redundant. That's why they need to push it to other market segment. So, but I don't think there's a lot of threat in terms of the space, because we actually providing the platform for everyone and everyone can access it. At this point in time, I don't perceive any consolidation as yet, but maybe down the road there's some consolidation. It may be other reason, not just only the Bakong alone. Maybe it depends. The market keep evolving every 5 years. The new technology coming up, and then we never know what is coming next.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Also, you were touching on one of the points behind trying to, encourage more of the real too. Have you found much traction with that? I know obviously there was a lot of in terms of the ones and the twos and the fives have been removed,
right,
in terms of actual cash. Now, in terms of digital payments, are you really seeing that also basically assist with more real within the market? I mean, can you actually measure that from a digital level?
From the placement of small node, Bakong, I think basically if it play a very important role in replacing the small node right now. I mean, we have been taking out the small node if they want to conduct an action in digital, meaning in foreign currencies, and then this digital wallet would play very important roles, and then we could promote the use of our local currency when it comes to small payments and actions.
And I guess sort of if we're looking to the future, what sort of policy trends is the NBC forecasting in the next 5 and 10 years?
I don't know. It's something in terms of Bakong, or is it like payment system as a whole?
I'd say the payment system as a whole. I presume as a policy, you're also looking to what the market trends are doing, because you also want to ensure that Bakong doesn't fall behind. You also always want it to be updating too, I'd imagine.
Right. We have some of the key projects in relation to Bakong in particular, but it's the first thing I want to mention is that we try to bring Bakong as a payment hub. Currently, we don't have any local hub as well, so that's something that we want to bring Bakong into the next step as a hub for our country, so that it will be easy to work with other countries in the region in terms of hub connection and the like. And the second point I want to mention is that we want to see Bakong as a gateway for the public payment as well. So we've been working closely with the Ministry of Economy and Finance to bring Bakong as one of the channels for a payment gateway for the public utility. And in the meantime, Bakong is the retail payment transaction. So we want to bring this experience from the retail payment into the next level. That bring from the retail part to the wholesale part as well. That's why we try to uplift Bakong into the wholesale payments, because we don't have the OTG system as yet in our market. And the last point I want to mention is that we want to promote these centralized we want to sort of like make it more easy and convenient in terms of registration for the Bakong system. That's why we are trying to connect it to the data exchange, which is hosted by the Ministry of Finance, so that when people do registration, it right away review it as a full KYC, because it checks directly to the data hosted by the Ministry of Interior.
Okay, so there is some plans to, because obviously right now it's using the partnered for eKYC or KYC. Are you one day thinking you're going to have that data with you as well?
Yeah, we are actually working it out. The one who hosts this data is with the Ministry of Interior, and then the partner, the Cambodia Data Exchange, they have the approval to access this data. What we can do is that we work with the Cambodia Data Exchange, and we can use it for the verification purpose for the registration of the Bakong. So these are sort of like the next step that we have the plan to do in relation to the Bakong system.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like there's some fantastic futures ahead. I think it's one of those things where, looking forward, I think everyone can agree from this event, digital payments really is going to be the way forward, especially in terms of e-commerce. I've been seeing more and more as well. Do you see any connection between Bakong and also what the e-commerce sector can be connected with, not just between banks, as in between actual payments?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier about the payment gateway. Is this something that's very similar to the e-commerce in action? That what we firstly only focus on the public sector. That anything that the individual would need to pay to the government, they can channel with this platform, which is run by the Ministry of Finance, but at the back end, we will use Bakong for the clearing settlement for this e-commerce in action with the public sector. But it's Bakong currently, even the private sector, they can use it for e-commerce in action. It's very convenient. We support with that in action as well. Now we've been working with a couple of companies on how to promote the e-commerce in action using Bakong as a backbone for this clearing settlement.
Fantastic. Well, we've only got a minute left, but it's been so interesting to hear some of the NBC's future plans, and I really think what you guys have created is fantastic. It gives Cambodia an amazing international first as well, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. It's been very enlightening.